Hello everyone! We've been getting a lot of questions about how to make an order and how the process is going on. Therefore, I decided to record this video to answer all inquiries. So let's go through the general steps, and after that I'll pay more attention to the details and answer the most common questions. So first thing that you need to do is to send me a message via WhatsApp number, which you can always find beneath the video. 666-487-689-88. Sometimes it might happen so that you won't get answered immediately because I'm often at the mining. But be sure that as soon as I'm back to the civilization, I'll be answering you immediately and in person. What kind of information I'm expecting from you? First of all, I need to know what is the budget you're hoping for, and what kind of a gemstone you would like to get, if you have any preferences. It's not obligatory, but if you know already, it would be good to tell me. If you're unsure about gemstone, you can try to choose the color. For example, I need a male ring. Any gemstone or color will do, but pink one. That is quite understandable. In response, I'll be trying to suggest your different options which are fitting a desirable price. Of course, there is a situation when a person wants a sort of the jewel or jewelry piece, but has absolutely no idea what it shall be. In this case, of course, I will try to choose what suits you best. As soon as we agreed on the gemstone, and if we want just a gemstone or a piece of jewelry with your design, I ask for a little prepayment. That is absolutely necessary part. Usually it's about $500, but sometimes it might be more. But definitely no more than 30% of a gemstone final price. The amount of prepayment depends on many factors. I'm going to talk about them a bit later. As soon as we receive the prepayment, we put your order on a list. That means that now we're going to start looking for a gemstone for you. So how does the process look like in this case? For example, I need to go to Sri Lanka mining soon. And I have already that big list of pre-orders from you. So I already know more or less what kind of gemstones we're going to look for, and what kind of size it will be, and approximate price. Therefore, as soon as I arrive at the mining, I try to find the suitable gemstone. As soon as I get several options, I record a video myself and send it to you. Why is it important for both of us to have a video recorded by me personally? Because as I explained in other videos, it's a very common thing for jewelers or jewelry shops to record the gemstones under incandescent light, or even worse on the special lighting designed to make the gemstone shine brightly. However, if the gemstone appears to be not really good in quality or a fake, then as soon as you take it outside and look at one more time on the natural light, you'll see that the shine is gone. That's why whenever I send you a video of a gemstone, it 100% will be a video made under natural light, without any special equipment, so you could see real-time color and brightness of a stone. Anyway, when you receive a picture and a video of gemstones, you can send me a feedback. For example, yeah, that's fine, let's buy this one. Or no, I would like something brighter or more blue, or darker, or bigger, or smaller, etc, etc, etc. And I make another attempt. So I continue till you're happy with the suggested option. As soon as we agreed that this is exactly the stone we're looking for, I buy it using my own money. That is important, you don't have to pay for the gemstone at this stage. And I measure the size with special measurement, and send it to the laboratory. Then, in order not to waste time while waiting for the laboratory to make a certificate, we start discussing and modeling a design for your jewel. This process is highly creative, so no one expects from you to give a precise vision which will be final. We can change and adjust it as many times as you want. So as soon as we get the certificate and the jewelry piece is ready, we send the ready jewelry to the address which you provide. The certificate is attached, of course, and only when you actually get your gemstone in your hand, you pay the full price. So basically the biggest risk that you take is something like $500, and I take even a bigger risk, because you can just disappear with a piece of real jewelry and a gemstone. Of course you can say the same about me, but at this point it's a matter of trust. I'm a quite public personality, so that is how the process of placing an order looks in general. Now let's talk about frequently asked questions. The most popular question is, please show me the catalog of jewels and gemstones you have available at the moment. So the answer will be most probably, I don't have anything ready for sale. There are very rare occasions when I buy a gemstone, even if it's not ordered by someone. But that happens only if the gemstone is really unique, and I see a potential in it. And after that it's always a big dilemma for me if to keep it or if to sell it if someone asks. But that's really not a common situation to happen. Why don't I buy gemstones in beforehand to sell you afterwards? Imagine the situation that I went to a mining and bought several square cuts emerald, which are not cheap ones. And then I get an order from you who wants really an emerald, but only round shape. What would I do in that situation? If I was an average salesman, I would try to persuade you that a square shape is much better than a round one, because I need somehow to get rid of these square emeralds. But I'm not the average salesman. I don't like to be pushing stuff to people which I just have to sell, but which people are not looking for actually. I do appreciate and love individual approach. Moreover, hunting a gemstone is also a very big part of fun in my business. So I don't want to have a shop or a boutique just to sell jewels. It's just not why I started doing that at all. For me it's mostly about adventures and drive, not about money. For the same reason I don't make any jewelries in beforehand. I'm keen on production and creating of unique pieces which will be serving well only you and no one else. I love creating new designs and I love to see how beautiful the idea of our client can be revealed in stone and metal. In other words, I like to enjoy the process myself, and I want you to enjoy it no less. In the case of choosing from a given variety of jewels, it's always the situation like everything is perfect, but this tiny element or the design is lovely, but the color is wrong and so on and so on. I'm genuinely proud that every piece of our rings and necklaces or any other types of jewelry is unique and made in accordance with your desires. Another very common mistake is to try and give me a call. A lot of people think that if they give me a call, it will speed up the process somehow. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, I value an individual approach. But due to amount of orders, which are hundreds and hundreds right now, it's physically impossible to answer every call. However, even if we manage to connect by phone, most probably I won't be able to remember everything what you're trying to say. So that's why the written form is the most reliable form of communication. However, you are very welcome to leave the audio messages if you're happy with that. Another reason why I'm asking to send messages is that the process might take weeks or even months. Therefore, after a long period of time, each of us will be remembering different parts of our conversation. Therefore, in order to prevent any kinds of misunderstanding or disappointments, I do ask to write in messages. In this case, both you and I will be able to track the conversation and outcomes. What concerns the budget and the description of a desired gemstone? As I mentioned before, you don't have to have a precise and clear vision of the final result. If you say that I want something green or pink or dark, just any types of unusual gemstone or a gemstone which will be good for investment, I'll be there to help you. Don't worry about that, any kind of questions will be answered, that is for sure. Another thing which people sometimes doubt to say out loud is the desired budget. Because you might think that if you tell me that the budget shall be about $5,000, I'll buy a gemstone worth $15 and sell it to you for $5,000 exactly. However, I can promise that is not going to happen. And you always can do a little bit of market research. In this case, you'll find out that my prices are usually about 30% lower than the market ones. However, it's easy to check as well. What do I recommend to do in this situation when you want to compare prices? You ask the question to someone else, showing them the picture and a video of gemstone which I had sent to you before. And you can just ask them something like, I would like to buy approximately the same type and size of gemstones, natural one, not treated. unless it's a kind of gemstone which is supposed to be heated, for example like tanzanites. When they respond to you with their suggestion of prices for similar gemstones, you will be able to compare. But be careful and always check the certificate as well. Because I know that my prices are lower as I get the gemstones directly from the minings. A lot of people claim to be a similar type of gem hunters who actually go to the minings. However, I haven't seen any of them proving that they've ever been at the same places where I've been too. And when you come to the mining, you sometimes have to check in. So the last time when I was checking in the mining in Kenya, there were no Western visiting it for the last 5 years. Or even for the last 10 years. It's difficult to remember now. And here I am, talking about gem hunters or people who call themselves gem hunters. Because if we go to the shop, the prices will rocket. And the next question is about a prepayment. Why do I ask for the prepayment, and if it's possible to order a gemstone without it? For your understanding, we have approximately 100 of orders with prepayment sent daily. And about 40 to 50 people send me messages like, "I'm not ready to send you any money because I don't trust you enough. However, I would love to have a look at the blue sapphire. So if you find any suitable one, send me the video, and if I like it I will send you the money." So unfortunately, this is not going to work, and I will explain why. In the very beginning of our project, I used to accept those kind of inquiries. I would write down in my little notebook what gemstone the person wants, what color, what size, and so on, and would honestly go and look for each one of them. And you have to understand that it's not happening immediate or easy. I don't just go shopping. Sometimes we have to spend weeks just to get an access to the right person or to the right mining. Then you would most probably have to physically climb the mountain, or go down in a pit, or probably just spend hours and hours looking through hundreds of gemstones, looking for exactly the right one. So it's very time-consuming process which is not easy by itself. And now imagine when after all these obstacles which I had to overcome, I have the gemstone, I make the video, I send it to the guy who had requested it before, and then I get an answer something like, "Yeah, that's very nice. The price is okay too, but I'll have to think about it. I'll get back to you later." Or sometimes the person might just disappear at all. Imagine the level of my unsatisfaction and disappointment. So in order to avoid that kind of disappointments, now I always request a prepayment. That proves that you really have an intention to buy a gemstone. You're not joking, you're not wondering, you're not wasting my or your time. As soon as I get a prepayment, I start searching. And another important moment I want you to understand is that any prepayment can be returned. As you know, the specific of our business is that in most cases we don't have a gemstone available. So we have to go and look for it. And again, in most cases I will find what you're asking for sooner or later. But if it happens so you change your mind during the process of my searching, I always return the prepayment, unless the gemstone is already bought. I understand that there may be different kind of situations relating health or family issues or whatever. So if you want to get your money back before the deal is made, you just need to write to me and I'll be returning them to you 100%. I understand that our approach might have its own drawbacks, but it also has lots of benefits. For example, if you come to the shop, you can be sure that you can buy immediately whatever you like. However, the price will be much higher than if you buy it from me. Another feature of my project is that you get absolutely unique and best-in-quality gemstone, because I go for hunting personally. And I look through thousands of different gemstones before I pick up the proper one, which meets all the criteria. However, the individual approach takes time. Sometimes it may be 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month. Sometimes it can be 1 year or 2 years even. It depends on a gemstone. For example, the star blue sapphires are super rare gemstones to find. Therefore, the search for that type of stone can take years. So it's really up to you. If you're ready to wait in order to get the higher quality and lower price, then we can work out something. If you want to buy something immediately, then it's better to go to the jewelry shop. However, I will not guarantee that you'll be happy with your found. Now let's talk about unpleasant situations which also might take place. Let's imagine that someone sent me the prepayment. I have found the gemstone for the person and we reached an agreement. So I bought the gemstone for the client. And the next stages are being arranged, like the certificate is made, the gemstone is sent to be delivered to the receiver. And then the person sends me the message, you know that it was supposed to be a gift for my wife and I got divorced. Or it has been already 3 months since I made the order, so I actually changed my mind and I don't want this stone anymore. In this case, I cannot return you the money, because they were already spent to buy the gemstone for you in accordance to your request. What can we do in this situation? Option number 1, you agree to continue the process, we make the piece of jewel for you and you pay the full price for that, and everybody is happy. Option number 2, you don't get back the prepayment because I'll have to still try and sell this gemstone to cover the expenses. So I would just keep it and try to sell it to someone else. So please, be aware of your responsibility in case the deal is done and the gemstone is bought for you. Try to understand that it's also not easy for me when I get on Monday the message that, all good, we're doing a ring for my wife because she is lovely and I love her. And for example on Wednesday I get the message from the same person that they had a big quarrel. So the client is not going to give her anything. And then on Saturday, let's say, the same person says that everything is settled, so yes, we still continue with our process and make the ring. I'm trying to be very flexible with you, but that's not a good way to do business. So to sum up, the prepayment is absolutely necessary. And yes, the prepayment is 100% refundable before I bought the stone. After that, you're either gonna buy it and pay the full price upon the delivery, or lose the prepayment as a part of your responsibility. So think carefully before you start the process. If you don't trust me for some reason, or if you're unsure about if you want or if you don't want to buy a gemstone, think one more time, and only after that send the prepayment. However, if you decided that you trust me and you are happy with options which I provide, and ready to send the prepayment, then the most common question is what are the options? As we work with different countries worldwide, we can process nearly any kind of payment with the help of any known payment system. We work with PayPal credit cards, debit cards, bank transfer, even cryptocurrency transfer as well. So basically you just need to tell what is the most preferable way for you to do that, and we will arrange it. Another very common question about a contract. So as I just mentioned, we work with different countries around the world. And in order to get the contract which will be satisfying all the legal criteria in every country, you would have to spend months and months. In the very beginning of our career, we tried to do that between Thailand and Russia. And firstly our lawyer created the contract, then sent it to the customer in Germany. And then the German lawyer obviously wasn't happy with the contract, because Thai law and German law are very different. So he rewrote it and sent it back, then the Thai lawyer of ours wasn't happy with the contract anymore. And he couldn't sign it up because it was in English. Therefore it would require the verification with the third party, or authorization in other words. And that is almost impossible, taking into consideration that all of us will have to be in one place to do that. So after some period of time and months of effort spent on that, we decided to give up, and now we're working just relying on mutual trust. But I can send you an invoice to you as an individual or to your company if you prefer better. That's not a problem. So if you would like to put that on paper, we can do it in this way through invoices. Because my policy is to conduct the business of everybody being happy. If you say that you don't feel safe relying just on my word and you want the official proof of our deal, I'm happy to provide it. If you still want to sign up a contract and you're happy to fly to Thailand, for example, where I am currently located, you're very welcome to do that. I'm not hiding at all. So the next stage is the hunt. This stage I love more than any other one because it's pure adventure and drive. So, it requires from me to go actually to the country where they mine the requested stone. Therefore, as I mentioned before, the process might take from 1 week to 1 year. And the situation that we have now, hundreds of orders at one time, it doesn't make it easier. That's why whenever I get a request like, I'm having a wedding in a month and I would like to get a couple of nice wedding rings, I just directly say no, because I know that it's not possible to do it within such a short period of time. The only one thing which I usually suggest for those who want a gift, exactly with their gemstone or a piece of jewel to a person, but you obviously cannot fit it into the time frame, we can try to work out a sketch of a future design, and you will gift it with a nice bouquet, saying that the real item will be delivered in several months, for example. That is the best what I can do for you if you're in a hurry, and you want exactly our gemstone or jewel. But basically, as you know, it's a normal situation for all kinds of unique and customized items. If you want something made specially for you, you have to wait. It cannot appear out of nowhere. When the gemstone is found, we start the certification. At the first level, we just send the gemstone to a local laboratory. For example, in Thailand, there is a place called Chantaburi, where they mine different kind of sapphires, and of course there is a local laboratory, which can prove if it's synthetic one or not. In Sri Lanka also, as soon as I bought a gemstone, I send it to one of the local trusted laboratories. I can tell that in most cases I'm able to tell if it's a natural gemstone or not just by the look, but you must not rely on my experience only. And I don't rely on it as well. So I always send it to the laboratory. And I'm not sending a gemstone to any kind of laboratory. I send it only to the proved one. What I mean by the proved one is when the result of that local laboratory matches the result of an official big laboratory. In Swiss, for example. Because there are hundreds of laboratories around the world. And you have to pick up who you trust. And who have proved themselves worthy. The local laboratory checks two factors mainly. Is it a natural one or not? And is it a heated or not? And of course what type of gemstone it is. Like a spinel or a garnet. But that's not all. So the next step, I'm sending it to a proper big laboratory. Usually it's a GRS. A very well-known and trusted lab. But if you have any personal preferences, we can send the gemstone to the laboratory you want to work with. Usually I think it's okay to spend about $50 or $60 on a certificate for gemstone, and that is included in price. However, if you want to send a gemstone to some kind of highly exclusive laboratory, which takes thousands of dollars for run of test, then you have to cover that spending by yourself. In the same GRS laboratory, the certificate might cost about $300 or $400. But if you want only that one, it also can be discussed, so we will agree who is covering the cost of a certificate depending on the laboratory, which is chosen for that purpose. But you can be sure that the certificate will be no doubt presented. But what to do with the countries where there are no laboratories around to make a quick check-up? In this case, I buy a gemstone taking responsibility for that in terms of finances. Usually I tell the seller of a gemstone that I'm going to buy this gemstone, send it to the laboratory, and then, if everything appears to be the same as it claimed, we're all good. If it's not and the gemstone appear to be synthetic or treated not in a good way, we just play back. And he gets back a gemstone, I get back my money. Hopefully. So if it doesn't happen and the seller doesn't return the money, I end up with the artificial or just bad gemstone in my hands, but you don't lose your money. That is my risk and my responsibility to take. I must say though that I've never had a situation like that, but if it happens you can be sure that you're not going to lose your money. If I lose my money, not yours. Okay, let's imagine that you have received a gemstone, and you have got 1 or 2 certificates as I told you in accordance with your wishes. At this stage some people ask themselves, what if a gemstone which was tested for a certificate and a gemstone in my actual piece of jewelry are not the same ones? What if evil me took out the original gemstone and inserted the fake one which looks similar? If you get a desire to check this fact, I'm totally fine with the idea not to give me the rest of the money until you check the gemstone by yourself in the chosen laboratory. I will wait for you with your preferred certificate to prove that the gemstone which you have got is exactly what is described in the provided certificate. And after that you can pay the rest of money for your order. But that rule applies only if you want to send the gemstone to a real laboratory. Some friends of yours are a very professional neighbor or a jeweler. They don't count. You may ask me why you cannot trust a jeweler. I will tell you that they're taught mostly how to work with precious metals. They're not specialists in gemology, and they're not taught to be one. So whatever the jeweler may say, it won't be considered a proof against the certificate from every laboratory. Even if you have a friend who is a gemologist, and that friend assured you that the stone is not natural one, or has some defect, but he doesn't provide you any certificate, it doesn't count. In other words, no opinion except for a certificate given by authorized gemology lab doesn't count, because it just works against the fact. But I was lucky enough never to get in that sort of situations, and whenever we compared the results of certificate from different labs, they always were the same. Just in the very beginning of my career, when I was working mostly with just friends of my friends, it was a case when I thought that a gemstone is a yellow zircon. However, it appeared to be a yellow sapphire or something like that. And again, back that time, I haven't been doing any certification. Now I always double check it. Just imagine a situation when you have received a gemstone sent by me with certificate, and you send it to another laboratory just to be sure. And you get the result that it's not what is written in the certificate which I provided to you. Let's say it's saying that it's synthetic kind of gemstone. In this case, there is only one way to solve this problem. You get your money back and that's it. I know that's an impossible situation to happen, but just for you to be sure I'm answering this question. Because my reputation is important to me, and I always take a financial responsibility for any kind of mistakes or whatever it can be. Now let's talk a little bit about inclusion. First thing that you all should know is that every natural gemstone must have a certain amount of inclusions. Only a synthetic gemstone can be crystal clean. However, there are bad inclusions and good inclusions. And there are inclusions which affect the cost in a negative way. And there are inclusions which affect the cost in a positive way. So if you see some kind of crackles or other artifacts which penetrate the gemstone from one side to another, and you can actually even see the exit of a crackle on the surface, this means that it's not a suitable quality. It means that the gemstone will most probably fall apart. It might happen in a week or in a month, but it will happen. And I never buy that type of gemstone. But if it's a sort of strokes or tiny bubbles or little clouds, it's fine. Unless they affect the color and appearance dramatically. Because again, every natural gemstone has it. And most probably you won't be able to see some of these inclusions just with your eyes. You'll have to use some special equipment. But they will be there 100%. There are cases, by the way, when inclusions increase the cost of a gemstone. For example, Paraiba tourmaline. Please have a look at the picture. The inclusions make the color match brighter, and Paraiba tourmaline has always inclusions and costs tens of thousands of dollars. Or if you remember the orange garnets from Acai village, they also have inclusions. And not just a couple, it's full of inclusions inside. But still, the prices are high because the quality in color and brightness is extraordinary. So you need to understand that a crackle and inclusion are two different things. Inclusions are good, crackles are not. Another important thing for you to know is that every gemstone has got a cullet. In case of some extremely expensive gemstones, the cullet might be directed, not straight down. It can be kinda tilted a little bit, but that's fine. Because as soon as you put it in the ring, you won't see that. The most important is when you look at the table of the gemstone, it looks bright and nice. So the axis of the cullet doesn't matter much. Why do we leave the cullet a bit tilted? It's because sometimes to save the color you have to leave it be as it is. Because if you cut off extra pieces of stone to make a culet perfectly straight, it might cause the loss of brightness, for example. It might also happen that the culet area is a little bit curved at some point. And that is still fine for the same reason. I've got a couple of situations when the customer was afraid that such a minor defect means that the gemstone is less valuable now. But I explained to them, and I'm explaining it right now to you, it's fine. Another very common question is why we can see any mentions of inclusions in a certificate. I have to say that it is as it is. There is just no such a practice to write down a detail about inclusions. In most of international laboratories, they don't write down neither the kind of inclusions nor the quantity of it. Another thing which you most probably won't find is clarity characteristic. Again, it's not a common practice to write about it unless it's a diamond, about prices. So I have told it many times and I'm ready to repeat it again. I work directly with minings, so the length of chain between a mine and you is minimum. Therefore, as you can imagine, the price is also much lower than in shops or expos, or whenever else it could be. So basically the difference is between 30 and 50%. Let me show you a couple of examples. So that is absolutely stunning Paraiba tourmaline. It is 32 carats. The price is $210,000. We requested the prices for very similar gemstones in Moscow, in New York and London. The price was about $500,000. Why so? Because they're buying not directly from the mine. Therefore, they have to pay a big percentage to every single block of the chain. And here's another example. My beloved dark spinel. Exactly this one I sold for $8,900. When we checked with our clients the prices for the similar size and color in Moscow shops, the price was about $16,000. If you're going to do the same research, please be aware of the fact that you shall ask exactly as if you're looking for that type of a gemstone. If you ask question that I was suggested to buy that stone and I would like to compare it, in this case, of course, they will try to sell you their own gemstones. They will be, of course, cheaper, but just maybe a different color and maybe different shape, and maybe a different kind of gemstone at all. Of course, it cannot be always such a big difference, like twice as in the examples given before. But however, in general, it still will be better. Of course, there are some gemstones which are so unique that you don't have a chance to compare their price. But in this case, like with a piece of art, you have to rely on an expert opinion. Now the next painful topic is time frames. So again I ask you to understand one thing. Our project and our work is something very creative. So the process always looks like I have to go exactly to the mine and look through the hundreds and hundreds of different gemstones to pick up the one for you. Unfortunately, I'm not a shop. I don't have a shelf with only multicolor pink mahenge spinel, or another shelf with royal blue sapphires, or a purple spinel. So unfortunately, for the single one order I have to fight and I have to hunter it. Sometimes I can find all the needed gemstones within a couple of weeks, but sometimes the searches can be going on for months. And there is almost no way to predict it, because with the mine it could be like today they found 10 good pieces. And maybe for the next couple of weeks, there will be no gemstones found at all. Or they will be found, but it's not what you're looking for. So you have to embrace the fact that it won't be very fast if you want to order a gemstone piece or a jewelry from me. Moreover, you also have to take into consideration the logistic of a gemstone, the time which is required to make a certificate for it. It can be a situation when the custom hold back the gemstone up to 3 months. They have right for that, etc., etc. Some of our followers send the messages, like I had an experience when I ordered a gemstone and it was delivered within the next 4 days or something. In this case, I can assure you that even if it's claimed to be a gemstone from a mining itself, It was already in your city and perfectly ready to be sent out. Or maybe you ordered a gemstone from Bangkok. There is a famous tower, GTC. They sell average quality gemstones for not average prices. And the delivery from there would definitely not take long. But again, they have got already all the gemstones ready and waiting for you. However, the quality is not quite satisfactory. In my case, I always take every order personally. I always look at the gemstones by myself, trying to pick up the best one and the unique one. And as we got about 1,000 of orders during this year, despite of any pandemic consequences, it means that some of you still like this approach. So if you want really good gemstone for good money, and you're ready to wait, then we can work together. Let's just agree that by default, the search process will take between 1 and 6 months. However, as I told you before, it's how the customized items are made. Whenever you want something unique, you have to wait. For example, the last time when I ordered a special motorbike for me, made in accordance with my request, I have been waiting for 2 years. Because every single detail of it was made specially for me, by my design. So you know that if you want something quick, immediately available and common, you can go to the shop. However, if you are after something special, you are very welcome. And I understand that even if you know that it might take quite a long time, some of you got impatient and excited about their new gemstone. As a result, they send me messages like WhatsApp, and if there are any updates almost every week. For such people, I have to tell that I would love to chat more often. However, I haven't got enough time for that, and your questions won't make the process go any faster. However, you can be sure that I'm interested in making it as fast as more than anyone else. I will explain why. So you give me, let's say, $1,000 as a prepayment. The gemstone itself costs $9,000, for example. So I have to add $8,000 from my own pocket to buy it. So believe me, I do try to facilitate the process as much as I can, because I'm interested in returning my money back and get a profit to continue running the business. Because, for example, at the moment I have got about $600,000 invested in gemstone, so I honestly want to make it quick. However, as I told you, this process requires attention and individual approach. Therefore, it takes time. Okay, let's imagine that the gemstone is found and bought. Then we have to create a sketch of your future jewelry piece, and you shouldn't be scared if you don't know how to describe what you want, or you don't know how to draw sketches. It's not needed. We have all the needed skills and team who will work on your model. All you need to do is to send me the screenshots of examples of what you like, and what you would like to get approximately. You can look up for the ideas in our Instagram as well, as we post a lot of different designs which have been made so far. Or you can just Google like the male ring or female necklace and screenshot the pictures which you like. I usually create the sketch for the jewelry piece by myself, and after that one of my 10 3D designers create the visualized model. However, again, at once we are working on dozens of orders, therefore we'll have to wait for your 3D model as well, at least some time. As you know, that is a very important part of the job which cannot be done abruptly. And as the 3D model is ready, I send it to you or correct it myself, send it back to our designer, and then we send you the final version, so you could have a look and tell what is needed to be changed or what is fine. So we apply the corrections and send it back to you, to check unless you're satisfied with the final result. And I'm very sure that if you go to some famous company like Tiffany, for example, and ask to design and create for you a special ring that will take also not a couple of days at all, most probably it will be months and months. And finally, when the 3D model is ready and the gemstone already is in our hand, and the certificate is already ready, we can create the piece of jewel itself. And the most common question is how much would cost the golden ring like that? And you send a picture, or silver earrings like that on that picture. You have to understand one thing, that when you see the piece of jewelry in a normal shop, it's most probably duplicated hundreds of times. In our case, for every single piece of a ring and necklace, earring, whatever, we create everything from the sketch. So first of all, your 3D model goes to the 3D printer. and the plastic ring appears. It is of course a special type of plastic. Then it's put into refractory rubber, and after that this construction is heated. So the plastic ring just melts, shaping the cavity inside in the form of your future piece of jewelry. And then using this shape we can cast a ring. And yes, my golden ring or silver earrings or whatever it is will be more expensive than similar one in the shop. Because they have to spend money just once on a 3D printer on creating the 3D model and on refractory rubber. After that they can duplicate it as many times as they wish, spending their money only on the material itself. We create every new piece individually. Therefore we have to spend money on all the stages every time. Therefore our prices are reasonably higher. But again, it's the cost of individual approach and uniqueness of your jewelry. For example, a 3D designer gets about $15 on average for a model. Depends on the complexity of course, but more or less. 3D printer is about $40 per model. Sometimes it can be $100 if the model is a difficult one. And the refractory rubber shape is about $80. So all this money we have to spend again and again when creating a new jewel. Because we're not a mass production, we work individually. The only one type of design which I hope to do on the regular basis with standard sizes and designs is the rainbow sapphire rings. Because they're quite simple and the design is always the same. Therefore, if you want cheaper, it's better to go to the shop and buy something general. My design will cost more, but it will be unique and it will be exactly what you want. And finally everything goes to a jeweler. The guys who are actually making your piece are also quite busy. And it's actually a very big problem to find a good one. So if I told you that your gemstone and jewelry went to the jeweler, it doesn't mean that it will be ready in a couple of days. I would love to hire more people to do this kind of job. However, you cannot imagine how difficult it is to find a really good worker in this industry. Because again, in order to embody the idea properly, you have to get a proper eye and skillful hands. And around the world there are not so many people who are really talented in this. And that is another reason why I couldn't scale my business. For a unique piece of jewelry it's not enough to find a unique gemstone. You have to get the same unique people who would be putting efforts in the creation. And I'm strongly against the idea of hiring just workers, who will be doing it without putting their souls in it. Because in this case the quality will decrease, and that is not my style. So if you decided to order a piece of jewelry from me, please be patient. And take into consideration everything what was said about. I can promise you that the result will be good, and I will try my best to make you happy with the outcome. But it will take time for the reasons mentioned above. I might be unavailable sometimes, answer you with a little bit of delay. But that happens just because we are really busy right now. And because sometimes I'm at the mining without a proper internet connection. So it's not the reason to worry, and because your prepayment is safe, and I don't disappear. I might be just unavailable exactly at the moment. So that's pretty much it. If you decide what type of gemstone you want to get, send the prepayment. Wait for the options to send you to approve. Then we decide on a design of a jewelry, and then you receive everything safe with the certificate. We use serious delivery services, so you can be sure that nothing will be lost on the way to you. Or even if it's lost, it will be our responsibility. And again, you're very welcome to check this stone one more time by yourself in the laboratory. Not with your wife or friend only, but in the laboratory. And if you're satisfied and you see the results are the same as in the certificate, you just pay the rest of the money. So I hope I answered all the questions. So if you still have something in your mind, don't hesitate to leave it in the comments. I will try to get back in touch as soon as possible. For a while I wish you a nice day and see you later. Bye bye.